Hello, welcome or welcome back to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Welcome to day 10, no, 11, 10 was yesterday. Day 11, the penultimate day of our, or my, 12 cast on adventures this year. Our knit along or make along, cast on along, it's not knitting, it's knitting, crochet, spinning, weaving, all of the things. Our cast on portion of our make along goes until the end of January. So if you are still casting on, never fear, you've still got plenty of time. Way later in the day than I wanted it to be. It's nearly 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's Saturday, so I thought I'd have plenty of time to get on with my knitting. But I've also been procrastinating because I can't decide what to cast on. We're at crunch point. I know what I'm casting on tomorrow. We've got a fun cast on, I think, to finish off the 12 cast ons tomorrow, but I've still got about 10 things on the list of things that I made, probably more because some other things have jumped on, of things that I wanted to make or potential makes for the 12 cast ons, and I've narrowed it down to 3 projects that I really want to get on my needles and I still can't decide. So I've come up to the craft attic, even though it's freezing up here, for some inspiration, and I'm going to have a rummage around in my yarns and make a final decision in the next half hour or so. I need to get this project going. But before I do decide what I'm going to make, I've got 2 thank yous to say, and one should have gone on yesterday's video, but when I went to edit the video this morning, the section that I thought I'd recorded, and I definitely sat here and talked to my camera yesterday. I clearly remember doing this, but obviously I didn't press I hadn't pressed the record button because when I went to edit, that section of video didn't exist. So I wanted to say a huge thank you to the lovely Carol. Yesterday, you might remember from the footage, I went out to the post office and it was pouring down with rain, and I opened my door and on the doorstep was this. Honestly, I wish I'd had a camera going because I was shocked and amazed when I looked in the package and there was a little envelope addressed to Angela and a package inside. And Carol, who is local to me, she lives in Cardiff, had left this super sweet little package on my doorstep. And next time you're in Penarth, Carol, let me know and I shall come up and meet you at Foxy's and we'll have a cuppa, because as you know now, I'm not that far away. So there was this sweet little card inside with a message in to say that Carol had been enjoying Vlogmas and the 12 cast-ons and she wanted to give me a little gift. And she said she had searched high and low to try and get some Lindt chocolate orange balls, but they'd sold out everywhere, and instead she had popped in this amazing box of truffles from Quality Street. I'd not seen these before, and they're the Intrigue orange truffles. So, oh my goodness, Carol, I am so excited. I didn't open these yesterday because I was scoffing that chocolate from Caroline in my advent, my fibre advent. But it's probably a good job because then I get to open these today and try one on today's video instead. So that was so super sweet. And even James said when I told him about this package, he's like, why didn't you knock on the door? So yeah, next time you're in Penarth, let me know and we'll have a cuppa and a knit. So yeah, I need to resist the urge to dive straight into this. I've got to have my lunch first. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I haven't eaten my lunch yet. And get choosing my project. I'm still procrastinating and I'm just sat here waffling as much as I can at the camera because I can't decide. I can't decide. Right, I'm going to turn the camera off and make a gosh darn decision. Cue round of applause. I've only gone and done it. I've chosen what I'm casting on today. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I had to sort out a huge basket of yarn. Oops. One ball of which is escaping. And it's hand spun, no less. I figured it was high time that I cast on a hand spun project. I have started 2 spinning projects, but I have not yet cast on anything from my already made hand spun yarn. So I will be casting on today Astravest, which is a pattern by Amber O'Brien, and I'll show you a picture of the pattern. This is probably not the best picture. It's off the front of the pattern page because I've already downloaded the pattern, so it's got a weird sort of grid across it. I'm not sure what that is. I guess that's some sort of aesthetic thing to do with the pattern, but here is the vest. And you might remember if you followed for a while, and I missed the trick, didn't I? Because I could have put it on today as I'm wearing a cowl. But I made the Astra cowl pattern a little while ago from some of my handspun, and I've been wearing that loads. When I bought the pattern, Amber had some sort of sale on, and I was able to get both the vest pattern and the hat pattern at a discount, which is why I bought both. And I love me a good sort of short sleeve top. And I don't really have many sort of proper vests. I've got a lot of sort of short sleeves, but not too many vests. So I'm going to be using some yarn that I spun up from my first ever fleece to finished yarn project. So this was a Jacob Ryland cross fleece that was gifted to me by my lovely friend Charlie. I hand carded a whole bunch of Rolags and then spun up the yarn, and I've got videos about that here on the channel, so if you have a look in my spinning playlist you'll definitely find them. And I've got more than enough meterage wise from my fleece to use as the main colour of this vest. Now my yarn is slightly varying in colours. It varies from quite a dark skein somewhere or other. Is that the dark skein? It doesn't look too dark. There's definitely one skein that's quite a bit darker. Maybe it's just the camera showing, or maybe I've buried it deeper in the basket. I've got a whole basket full of little skeins like this. Anyway, I've got the darker one. It's at the other end. It's in my hand. So it ranges from this sort of dark colour through to this lightest colour. So, and then I've got a whole bunch of these kind of mid-range sort of brownie colours. So I think what I'm going to do is lay out my fibre, all of the skeins that I've got, and see if I can make enough meterage from the sort of skeins that are the most similar in colour. If I can't, then I'll probably cast on. It's a bottom up sweater. I'm probably going to cast on with the darkest, although the rib band is quite deep and I've only got one sort of smaller skein of the darker yarn, and sort of do almost like a fade effect for the main colour. So I'll start with my darkest and work up to the lightest colour. And then for my contrast, it's a sort of slip stitch pattern. I'm going to use this chunky skein of yarn, which I absolutely adore, and this I spun up last year too, I'm pretty sure, and it is unknown fibre. I don't know what the fibre is, but it was a lovely gift from Kathy Mountain Pearl here in our community, and I spun this up on my e-spinner. It's a 2-ply, and I've got more than enough again to use as my contrast colour for the sort of slip stitches. I was a bit worried because there's some sort of brownie colours in here and I wasn't sure whether there would be enough contrast, but I did the thing where I took a photograph of the two yarns together on my phone and then sort of swapped it out and changed it to black and white, and I think there's going to be enough contrast. So that's my black and white with this sort of colourful skein at the front and the fleece at the back. So I think you can see there is quite a good sort of tonal sort of shade difference between the two colours, and they're reasonably the same thickness. My fleece spin is quite thick and thin. As I say, it's my first attempt at processing a fleece and spinning such a big quantity from Rolags in the woolen style. But handily, I do also have already a swatch that I knitted up not long after I finished this project. So I can see that it knits up nicely despite the slight texture, the variegations, the character. Obviously you can get a nice smooth spin from a fleece, don't get me wrong, but my skills just weren't there yet. But I love the character of it. So yeah, casting on hand spun today with this whole whole mess of yarn. So there's going to be some winding in my future, and I needed a jolly big basket to accommodate it all. I'm going to go and grab myself some lunch because my stomach is rumbling. And then I will come back, lay out my yarn and finally get started. It's probably going to be about 4 o'clock by then, but still I've got no plans for the rest of the day, so we don't go to bed particularly early. So hopefully there's still time for plenty of knitting and plenty of progress on my Astra vest. Okay, so I am back and I've laid my skeins of this handspun out in sort of a rough gradation. So from the darkest skein here through to some of the lighter colours here, and most of it is in this sort of mid-range colour. There's a few darker skeins at the beginning, and because I do have more yarn, I hope, than I need according to my really rough calculations on these labels, I think because this one does stand out as being quite a bit darker, I'm actually going to take this one out of the equation and start here, because the pattern is knit in the round from the bottom. This is quite a small skein, and I don't think the pattern's got quite a deep ribbing, so I don't think this will be enough to complete the ribbing. So I'd get sort of a stripe in the ribbing, which I'm not sure I really want. So I'm going to put that aside for now and start here. So I'm going to wind up the first couple of skeins, and then I'm going to sort of label these in the order that I've placed them out, so I know roughly which order I want to work through them as the project grows. I was playing yarn chicken with my ball winder at the end, because I'd already split this in two. Like, I've already got another cake. Oh, let me grab it. Of that huge giant skein. So I've already wound one off, and this was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I was thinking, is it going to fit on the ball winder? And I just about managed it. I was super excited winding up my yarn to get this project on the needles, and now 1.5 rows into 21 rows of twisted ribbing. I'm like, what have I done to myself? I think it's going to take me the rest of the night to do the twisted ribbing, and I might not even get it finished. It's so slow, it's about 15 minutes a row. I've got 21 of these to do. Sigh. Time for tea and chocolate, I reckon. James has gone to make the tea. I'm gonna have a sneaky try of one of these, and then I can have another one when I have my cup of tea. I need the energy. So good. So good. Thank you so much, Carol. So 1.5 hours later, and I've got 7 rows. Maybe I was being optimistic about getting this finished by the end of today. However, I'm desperate to get onto the fun. It's handspun fun. Well, this is handspun fun, but twisted rib is no one's idea of fun. I don't think. If it's your idea of fun, then tell me so that I can marvel at your weirdness. Not really. We all love different things, and I love that about our crafting world. I am getting into the groove though. The rows are getting faster now that I've established the rib pattern. You know what it's like when you knit the first couple of rows, particularly on, you know, a me-sized garment. Getting that first row to make sure you're not twisted when you're joining it in the round, and while like working into those cast-on stitches is never all that great. But one of the reasons I like to start these cast-ons is because the tedious bit is usually over by the end of my day, which means that next time I want to pick up this project, I can just run with it. I'm going to give myself a little knitting break. I'm going to have a wallow in the bath, and while I'm wallowing, I'm hoping to catch up a little bit on Instagram. I've fallen about a day behind on YouTube, but not too bad. But Instagram, I haven't been reposting folks' cast-ons to my stories like on a daily basis, and I'm so far behind, and I want to make sure that I'm sharing as much of your wonderful work as possible. So yeah, I'm gonna have a wallow in the bath and do some Instagramming. And then I shall come back, and then the next clip you will see, no doubt, will be me tomorrow morning, and we'll see how much further this gets. Hello, hello, welcome to my Sunday. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit windswept. I've been out for an early morning walk, which I will share footage of in tomorrow's vlog, the last vlog of our 12 cast-ons. I hope you have all been enjoying a lovely weekend, or if you have been working this weekend, I hope you've got some time off to look forward to in the next few days. You can have a nice, peaceful and enjoyable time. It is, as always, time to share some things from the community with you. Before I chat about everyone's cast-ons, I've got a couple of sort of updates and things that I wanted to chat about. The first one was that our lovely Joelle commented in one of the videos. If you remember, poor Joelle slipped over on some ice and broke her wrist, which cut her 12 cast-ons adventures short, but she posted in the comments to say that she's had her operation and everything went well. So I was very pleased to hear that, Joelle, and I thought I'd share that with the community because I know lots of you sent Joelle well wishes. And she says that her doctor says that with any luck she'll be able to start knitting again in a couple of weeks' time. So she hopes to still be able to cast on her other 6 projects before the end of January. Of course, it goes without saying, you know, don't put yourself at any risk of long-term injury. But if you had set your heart on casting on the full 12 projects with us, then if you need to slip into February to get your cast-ons on the needles, then please do. I don't think anyone in the community will begrudge you an extra couple of weeks to get your cast-ons on the needles. And certainly not me, and I'm in charge of the rules, so take as long as you need. If you want to do the 12, don't rush through it, do it at your own pace, and your projects will certainly count for our year-long make-along. Also, I just wanted to say hello to the lovely Elise, who is Metatron Girl. I mentioned Elise yesterday and said that I didn't know what her name was, so she very kindly introduced herself in the comments, and Elise said that she's hoping with a little bit of help and education from her son to start her own YouTube soon. So when you do that, Elise, come back and let me know, and I'll let the rest of the community know. Elise also shared that she has some chronic illnesses, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning that as it's like a public comment, but I thought I know that you'll find some lovely friends here in our Yarn and Yarns community, and I know we've got several folks who also have chronic illnesses. But Elise specifically mentioned Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So Elise, I don't want to kind of force connections, but you may want to look out Angela from Attic Spin Dye, who is Mrs. Attic over on Instagram. And the lovely Andy and Angela do a lot to support EDS. So you may find a mutual friend and some support there in that corner of our little community. Okay, cast-ons. Our lovely Ruth has cast on and cast off a snap hat for her nephew. Snap is a pattern by Tin Can Knits, and I shall be casting one of those on soon, thanks to our lovely Mairead, who gifted me that pattern recently. And Ruth said that she is also now thinking about casting on a sea glass tee. Quite a few people in the community said that they have searched out that pattern after seeing my cast on, which is really fun. The lovely Jane said she has been evaluating her works in progress and thinks that she might get 2 finished this weekend, so plans another 2 cast-ons, which will round her up to around 10 projects on the needles, which she thinks will be a nice number. But she did make me chuckle because she said at the end of her comment that she used to only be a 1 project kind of person, so she never thought she'd get to the point where she had 10 on the needles. Our lovely Pam has been joining the cast on party and has cast on quite a few lovely projects. She's got a Red Robin shawl on the go, a pair of Red Robin socks, which she's cast on from some of the yarn that she got from the Yarn and Yarns Mystery Sock Club the other month. So that's really exciting for me personally. She's also started a Bramble by Marie Wallin, which she said was a Christmas gift. She's got 2 pairs of opal socks on the go, also yarn purchased from Yarn and Yarns. Thank you so much, Pamela. She's got some fingerless mittens, a pattern by River Knits, also using River Knits yarn. And she's also cast on a Jones cardigan by Tin Can Knits, which will be for her youngest grandson. Judy has decided that we are all enablers. Yes, we are. And has decided to join in the cast on party. You are most welcome, Judy. She's cast on a 10 bump shawl, which she said is one of her own patterns, and you can find her as Judy Knits, Judi Knits on Ravelry, and she's using some hand dyed yarn in her Dahlia garden, and she's also thinking about sea glass. Tanya says she is caught up in a cast on frenzy and got up early the other day to cast on a Moraine sweater, which is a pattern by Tin Can Knits, and a Sparklight shawl, a pattern by Erin Currup. And she said she needs some more needles for her planned cast-ons. Helen of Mousy Makes has cast on her 5th project, which is a Pearl Cottage Cow from Mr. and Mrs. Rabbit Yarn, and she plans to cast on a January gnome for the Year of Gnomes that Imagined Landscapes is hosting. And she said a lot of her gnome family decided to scrabble off to new homes in December. So the ranks on top of her piano need to be replenished. Angela said that she has decided to rethink one of her projects. She recently cast on some mitered squares as a sample for some of the new yarns coming to, or the new colourways coming to Attic Spin Dye, but she's decided to scrap that in favour of a litmus cow. Our lovely Mary has started a neat ripple blanket, which is a pattern by Attic 24, and she has been searching out all of the cream, pink and green yarn that she can find, and it's going to be a blanket for her daughter's spare bedroom. Kim of the Blue Cherub channel here on YouTube, and I think I already mentioned Kim is vlogging daily if you need some company through January. Kim has joined our unofficial frog along and has started a Frog Prince, which is a pattern by Sweet Oddity Art. That will be a crochet pattern. Our Elizabeth said she has also had to restart one of her projects. Although I'm sad that people have been frogging some of their projects or restarting their projects, I'm actually thrilled to see people sharing that in the comments, because not all of our projects work out exactly as we want, and I think sometimes it can feel a bit like we've failed if our projects don't work out. But I love the fact that everyone is sort of sharing the things that haven't worked out quite as well as their successes in our comments this year. So Elizabeth said that she's restarted her autumn fusion shawl because the colours weren't popping in the way that they should, and she said she realised that she'd read the pattern wrong. I think we have all been there, Elizabeth, so she's starting that one again. Kathy E has started a Lost in Time crochet shawl. That's a really nice pattern. I made one of those quite some time ago now. The lovely Celeste, and oh my goodness, my notes have failed me again. I've typed Celeste and then nothing. There's been a robin visiting our bird feeder this morning, so I've been getting very distracted by the robin. Okay, so Celeste, I found her original comment. She said she started 2 cast-ons today, which would have been yesterday, and she's up to 5 cast-ons now, and she's going to start more over the next couple of weeks. She's telling me not to squish the duckling. I promise I won't. Right, so she's got her sweater, which she's already finished. I've seen, if you want to hop on over to Instagram, I've started a highlights in my stories for the 12 cast-ons, and Celeste has made a beautiful stripy sweater from all of her Advent minis. It's glorious. So that one is done. Second cast-on is some scrappy socks with the leftovers from that sweater, which I think is a brilliant idea. She's also started a sheepy Icelandic hat, a puffin Icelandic hat, and a test knit, and then she does have a list of the projects that she's thinking about casting on, so if you want to know all about that, then you can hop over to day 10 video and check out Celeste's comments to see all of her upcoming projects. Lee of Hockenberry Holler channel here on YouTube says she's pulled out her drop spindle and started spinning again, which is amazing. And Lee the other day posted a fabulous little video. She went out on a little outing in her local area and came across this place which had all of these, they look like sort of metal sculptures in the main of all these dinosaurs and creatures. It was amazing. Pamela, this one made me laugh. She said Pamela has been working on an Afghan, and my autocorrect has changed the name of the Afghan. A hue shift Afghan, not a bus shift, as autocorrect has decided it's now known. A hue shift Afghan, and as she has to cast on every square, she's counting her latest square as a cast on. I love it. Slight cheeky bending of the rules there. I'm here for it. Our lovely Tracy said she is back to the cast-ons with a vengeance. She cast on a Stark Baking Mad, or should that be Barking Mad, I'm not sure, shawl, and then she went to her local yarn shop and 4 hanks of Knitted Wit Polworth Shimmer DK jumped into her arms. We've all had that experience, and they have begged to be knitted into a sweater hug, so how can you refuse? For her day 11 cast on, she's going to revisit her Waiting for Rain shawl, as she cast on, did the garter tab 3 years ago, and then it hasn't seen the light of day since. So yes, get that Waiting for Rain out. Kathy B has started a Hay by a Cow, which she said she is using, and these are her words, an odd duck bulky skein of handspun yarn that she didn't have a use for. So that is amazing. And then finally for today, our lovely Caroline of Colourful Creativity has cast on a headband, a V-neck magpie, and has plans for her last cast on, which will be a hat. And don't forget, Caroline is also daily vlogging her cast-ons over on her YouTube channel, the Colourful Creativity channel. Okay, time for sharing my progress. Now, you might have seen me battling a little bit with my twisted rib yesterday, and as I'm sure many of you predicted, I did not finish my twisted rib. So this is what I have. And this, you know, it's a lot of knitting. And part of me was like, oh, I really want to get past the ribbing so that I've got something other than ribbing to show on the needles. But then I had a little word with myself because, you know, this is a bottom-up vest, so I've got over 250 stitches per row for my size on the needle, and that's a lot of twisted rib to get through. I've still got, I think, another 5 rows to go before I'm finished. It's got a really deep rib, this pattern, and I was trying to push myself through it because I wanted something other than just rib to show you, and then I'm like, well, why am I doing that? Because I want to enjoy working with this yarn, and it's a really special yarn. It's very inconsistent. There are thick bits and thin bits, but this is my first fleece to yarn project, so you know, I turned the fleece from a sheep from its raw state into this yarn, which took months of preparation on and off. The washing, drying, the hand carding. I hand carded this whole fleece and worked it up into rolags, and then I spun it over a period of weeks, months, on and off. So why am I now trying to rush through the knitting? Let's enjoy this yarn. And it's, like I say, it's not perfect. There are many imperfections and inconsistencies, but it's my first experience of doing this, and you know, I'm proud that I've been through that process, and I don't want to rush through just for the sake of having something to show on my YouTube channel. I want to enjoy working with this yarn, and it's working up really nicely. And so yeah, I cut myself a break. And all I have to show today for you is some brown ribbing, but that's just the way it goes, and it's beautiful. I know brown gets a bad rap, but it's one of my favourites. So yeah, I have several inches of brown twisted ribbing to show you today. So I didn't get to use the bright colourful handspun. I am really looking forward to getting to that part, just because I want to see how those colours play and whether I've picked the right yarn to go with this. I think it should be lovely because these are sort of autumny colours to go with, you know, a nice autumny brown. So yeah, this is reasonably hard work on my hands. The knitting is fairly dense, but I quite like it. I think it's going to be nice and sturdy for the ribbing, and I will be going up a needle size when I get to the main body of the jumper, which I think will make things a little bit easier on my hands, but also I think it's the twisted stitch more than the density of the stitch that was making this a little bit hard on my hands. So yeah, that is my progress for day 11, my beginnings, and I would say small beginnings, but that's several hours worth of knitting. So not so small beginnings of my Astra vest. So we have reached the end of day 11, and I'm going to sign off, say goodbye. I hope you will join me for day 12, our final day tomorrow, and don't forget to let me know in the comments below what you have been casting on, and I shall hopefully see you again tomorrow. Until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.